Alright, time to end this. And
Once
get
and
to...
for all.
For realsies this time. Oh, look at
That's
that,
how
an actual global Pandora.
Until the next game of the film comes out.
Yeah, the franchise never ends.
I still can't. You know, ironically enough, it's kind of well. Okay, did they confirm whether or not that sequel is going to be a sequel to this game in any sense?
We don't know. We have no idea yet.
Can you imagine if they actually go out of their way to have it be that it pays homage to this
For
game?
for all matters and purposes, they can. They easily can.
Did it.
So
in that case, you might want to consider maybe releasing this one while you're at it. Then
Yeah,
that could be an idea. Again, it also depends. Was this part of the just on the Xbox side? Just to know, was this part of the Xbox backward compatibility program?
No.
not
I don't
that
think so, at
recall
least,
of. Let me check.
Weird. If the rumors
I'll
are
check.
again while we're recording this, we don't know yet, audience. But if the rumors are true that that Sony is actually planning an equivalent that merges PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus by having something similar to the backward compatibility, I can see this being included among the bunch.
let me see. Oh, just need to log in. I don't understand why on Xbox.com it never saves my login, no matter how many times I tell it to.
It happens. I think it's a PC kind of thing when it comes to deals like that, Pedro, because it happens with me on Steam all the time.
Yeah, it happens to me on Steam as well.
Have you got cookies on?
I have, yes.
They're delicious. Alright, this particular last mission, it's again kind of similar to the Navi one, in the sense that you need to hunt and down and find all the Navi commander, the remaining commander units, and actually kill them one by one. If you forgot, sorry, go on.
Okay, Taylor, here's your answer. No, it is not, especially because it's not even available digitally, not even on the 360.
Dang.
Probably it's only physical. Apparently
Interesting.
physical
So
game.
the only digital release, I think it's on Steam then.
Yeah. Wait, is the game on Steam?
Yeah, I think it
Okay.
still is. I forgot if it has been delisted or not, but it
Oh,
had a
let's
proper
check.
PC release.
Because I know where to get it. I have seen in the places I usually go to pirate my PC games. I know where it's at. I know how to get it. It's just that, but I don't know if it's
We
available
did mention it in one of the early parts of the Navi campaign. Yes, there was a PC version and it was on Steam. I forgot. I actually don't know if it's still there or being delisted or anything. But yeah, it's actually there.
Huh.
Let's see.
How are you coming through? So yeah, another thing that they did mention, if I recall correctly, Winslow did mention, is that with Falco gone, your base is kind of in a bit of a power vacuum. So they need to send someone to actually bring back a bit of order in the ranks. I wonder who could it be?
Oh, okay. Okay, you know, I'll give him credit. That's kind of a clever way to tie this into the movie.
Especially because you have to remember that Falco is only the commander of your specific base. One thing that, again, the movie doesn't really make clear, and this game sadly doesn't help too, unless you read the data log, is the fact that the RTA doesn't really have just one big base on Pandora, I think. They're like spread throughout the entire planet, you know. So back when the movie ends with the protagonist forcing the humans back, it's only like a fraction. Sure, it's the more important bit, meaning that human forces of Pandora for the time being are actually defeated, but it's not like the whole thing. Which, to be fair, gives a good excuse for the sequel, admittedly. But yeah, since this is one of the more, torn out war zones, you're basically gonna see fighting happening 24, wherever you go. The good news is that since the Navis are mostly busy, fighting the other humans, you will have most of your work cut off.
Guys, I have absolutely dreadful news to give to you all.
It
The James
wasn't there
Cameron,
to be found.
the James Cameron's Avatar game has since been delisted, Austin.
Less, probably because of a multiplayer closure. Again, I'm pretty sure the PC version optimized enough can work. Ubisoft has many problems, but if I recall correctly, the PC ports were at least competent for the most part. Mind you, there were the occasional clusterfucks, like, again, Assassin's Creed Unity had problems no matter where you looked at it, so don't worry about that. But I can imagine at least this was a bit more polished. Not sure if it will run at 60 FPS, but probably with less jagged places here and there. In case you're wondering, the vehicle that shoots missile, this one, has like a two human seats. In a sense that it's probably designed mostly for multiplayer purposes, where one player pilots the thing while the other actually shoots down. I can't get the idea, the fun that someone can have in multiplayer with this kind of toy, because we were talking about Halo, the previous part. The multiplayer for Halo constantly had something like characters who like held the flag and had to be taken by others playing, piloting the vehicles. So that kind of euphoria, that vibe, is also present here in minor capacity. All right, let's see. Basically, what I need to do now is to reach the other human outpost, that was on the other side of the map. But since this actually is the one time that they want to do something slightly different than the jungle and have the whole canyon like shtick, the road is kind of like a bit of a doozy. Also, for some reason, that particular plant was not scannable. It doesn't really have an entry in the data log. Weird. Yes, you can also run over the navis with your vehicles. It's actually kind of encouraged for you to do.
So you can show how evil the humans are.
More than the usual, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, I think we're about to meet now.
People.
Okay, dude. Alright. Alright, if I recall correctly, is right besides this. Yeah, there we go. There he is, Colonel Quarich himself.
Oh boy, same voice actor?
You must be Ryder.
Yep, same actor reprising the role. But shockingly enough, he's extremely competent here, like almost subdued. He correctly deduces what's going on and gives his order. He's not batshit insane like in the movie, but he knows what he's doing.
Huh.
Stop him, no one will.
Maybe the role is just cursed to turn you crazy.
Now listen to me. We're trying to stop Falco, but if we don't take out the commanders first, those blue bastards will be swarming over this sector like roaches. Then you'll never reach Tantalus. That clear enough for you? Yes, sir. You're gonna rendezvous with my field commanders. They've got your orders. You pull this off, I'll get you a dragon.
Ooh.
Oh boy, what does that mean?
Remember, the dragons are the bigger flying vehicles, and it's that's basically our only ticket to the place where the Well of Souls is. So it's kind of important. So we need to talk again to Batista in order to start to defeat the commander, starting with the first one. Just listen to this. Okay, hold on, give me a second. There you go. I'm gonna talk to you and listen to this Oscar-worthy dialogue.
Ryder! The new brass said they were sending me a problem solver. I should have known it was you.
How's your day been?
Painful. I got a whole list of demo points and no way to get to them. The Blues keep sending in their damn birds to turn us back.
How can I help?
They ain't moving until their leader tells them to. Goes by the name of Swata. You make Swata go ta-ta, and the rest of them will leave us alone.
I don't even care the fact that the soldier passed in front of me.
What?
Okay.
Who wrote this script?
The dialogue is terrible,
check,
but the voice actor really does sell it.
It makes sense that humans would hack like this. Don't get me wrong. It's still a bit cringe-inducing.
That's it. These guys come straight out of the 90s/80s.
Well, that's kind of how Avatar is. It feels like a movie.
Well, the script was written in the 90s, so yeah.
Yeah, I
yeah.
agree. I agree
Well,
with
yeah.
Pedro. It sounds like a movie.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing too. The script for Inception was also written 10 years before the movie actually came out. But you know what? As Emma Stone, Christopher Nolan's wife, said, every year, every time he would have some time off, he would actually take time to refine it and update it, and work out some kinks here and there. James Cameron, on the other hand, I have doubts that he actually kept updating the script over the years.
Isn't the same problem that happened with Gemini Man? The fact that
Gemini Man, yes.
He clearly felt like that it was written in the 90s.
Oh boy, did that movie feel like it.
Well, that's the thing, though. From what I've heard, by the time the film released, none of the original writers' stuff was in the movie, or at least very, very, very little.
Yeah, that was a very painful matter, and they decided to keep it. Alright, there are 3 writing credits. John Meadows, who wrote for stuff like also The Lost video game and Dead Rising 2, the vanilla one, not off the record, alongside some minor TV stuff. Kevin Short, with 2 T's, which also wrote for Far Cry 2, also the Lost video game, the first Watch Dogs, Far Cry Primal, and Far Cry 5, and Jesse Fiend, who wrote only for this game. That's literally his only role. His only, video career. So, technically 3 writers, but none of them with particular experience under their belts. And most people who mostly work at Ubisoft. But again, considering James Cameron was kind of a consultant at the very least, I kind of get that that at least a part of his influence is in this, in some kind of fashion.
Maybe.
Lovely.
Mm-hmm. Basically, what you need to do is, again, like Batista, very eloquently said, is to actually go to SWATA, the first commander. And here's where the game goes full bullshit. Out of nowhere, you get this.
I have expected you. I know why you are here. I know what you have done. Death, destruction. Why? To help RDA. They are responsible for your Falco's.
Wait, what?
You
Hold on.
stop Falco, and you can help people.
Yeah, out of nowhere, the game politely asks you, well, you can still have Navi in the human campaign if you want. If you do, don't bother, because it's super painful. You have to fight all the other commanders, and you get the same ending as the Navi campaign, just with your human body. The same one, identical.
Is that what you're showing us now?
Yes. This is the ending that you get if you betray the humans. And again, like I said, it's the same one of another campaign. Falco tries to stop you with his own dragon. All the characters that you met so far are completely moot because you have to kill the human commander, and there's no banter in that, And Falco just dies while being on the dragon because you activated the Wall of Souls on your own. Again, I get what they were trying to do, but it's a very pointless kind of cop-out. You're trying to say, yes, you can beat the human campaign and still be considered a good guy if you want.
Despite the fact that you've been slaughtering... Okay, so let me get this straight. When you're actually on the side, it takes forever for the Navi to trust you. But suddenly, when you're against them and have been killing them left and right, they're like, you can still join with us, man.
Again, this is the worst ending out of all 3 of them, and really the most pointless one. You want to know what's the kicker? If you finish it like that, you have to replay the entire game in order to actually get to the ending where you still trust the RDA. And by the way, Tanjala is alive for some reason.
What? But we killed you.
Does not need a second.
I guess we let bygones be bygones, and
the dialogue is also identical.
I guess Tanjala cured himself of death.
It's a miracle.
It's a Christmas miracle.
Okay, yeah, that was sloppy.
Let's see how the actual. Is the choice of not side rhythm symbolized by shooting him?
No, we do need to pick one of those two. But if you pick the RDA, as you should, you do get to shoot him.
Honestly, though, you know, it would have made more sense if they gave you the option to shoot him right there and there, but instead you walk to one of the two options, which is behind him.
If I had to hazard a choice, hazard a guess, that particular bit was a last-minute addition, hastily done. And if I had to also hazard another guess, potentially as a result of playtesting groups of people who felt too bad probably for playing as the humans. So Ubisoft was basically decided to put in these last minute, bit just to make them happy or something like that.
It feels like a last minute bit because, you know, around the beginning of the game, you literally do make your decision by choosing who to shoot, essentially.
And it's also about the commitment. Again, as you pointed out, Jova, again, your human character has had no problem slaughtering Navis left and right, but out of nowhere, there's this absolute change of art with no foreshadowing whatsoever, mind you. The other characters have nothing to say on the matter, like Midori, you know. And the ending is just a copy-paste, just with your human body instead of the Navi one. Again, just no. This is why I only decide to just keep things straight with the full-on, human campaign.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's neat that you can do that. But again, if you're somebody who has the knowledge of what the Navi ending is like, it's, well...
Yeah, not just that. Freedom of choice is inherently a good thing, even for a game like this, you know. I don't really mind that. It's just that this feels mindless, and pointless to loot. It's just not feasible. Anyway, there you go. After killing Swata, thankfully, you have a dragonfly, I think, waiting for a scorpion waiting for you that brings you right back to the base, so you don't have to track back all the way through.
Neat.
All right, Batista, you happy now?
Hoo-wee! You taught him a lesson, Ryder.
I'm here. There we go.
Rolling thunder.
Yeah.
Of course.
Wait till I get out of here.
I still love the fact that if you do choose to, defect, then suddenly Falco shows up because the script told him to, I guess.
Well, Falco will still show up also in the normal ending of Human Campaign. But it still just shows up out of nowhere. But Quarich, you don't meet him again, you know. The other commanders, they don't speak to you while you kill them. It feels so mindless as a result. If they actually bother to expand it a bit upon, you know, and actually give it its own very own unique ending, I guess I could have seen it coming, and it maybe put a bit more foreshadowing. But it feels to me that combined also with the disappearance of the Doctor kind of off screen, you've just been told, probably around this time they were running out of budget and time potentially, and maybe that's why these last couple of beats feel like the point where the game kind of stumbles on the finishing line.
What kind of snag?
His name's Ricardo. Savage, but a bloody skilled one. Responsible for at least a dozen missing men, and he's left the rest of them spooked. I need you to put this animal down.
Oh, so it's the Predator. Considering the same company and everything, like I said, I wouldn't mind if both this and Alien coexisted, which by extension would be the with the Predator as well. Sure, it will require a bit of precision, writing to not flabbergast too much with the continuity. By the way, in the meantime, I found out that the grenade launcher is actually perfect for this late stage of the game. It can literally one-shot most of the Navi, so it doesn't allow them to use their abilities. It does remind me, again, we were talking about the Predator games back when they did the movies, and one of them was mentioned was Concrete Jungle on the PS2 and Xbox, I think, that was mentioned. But again, I never heard of it, so I was mostly just curious about it. Dark General 1 reviewed it recently by the time of his recording, and while it is archaic in execution, story-wise it's not that bad actually. It's if anything, it's also believe it or not plants the seeds properly for also the crossovers of Alien vs Predator. Mind you, if I recall correctly, the video games of Alien vs Predator and the comic had already been released around that time, so it was more of a consolidation. But if I recall correctly, it was slightly before the first movie, so it was kind of a cute move. So yeah, in this case, instead the Navi commander is riding one of the Panther-like enemies, so you need to defeat that first and then going after it. There we go. Ow. Another thing that I didn't mention, I think of what maybe I did, but just in case. After you finish a campaign, this is something I discovered only later when I tried to look it up. After you finish a campaign, the game can continue normally again in order for you to do some cleanup, like completing the side objectives of each map and finishing off the risk-style minigame that you can do at the checkpoints. There we go. But at that point, your data log gets completed 100% automatically and gets filled with all the entries that are also not present in the other in that campaign. For example, in here, all the Navi entries that you normally would get only in the Navi campaign, you do get them after finishing the campaign. So that is actually cute enough for you if you're actually looking into that, but don't want to replay the game too many times in order to complete everything. It kind of makes the scanning option a bit pointless in the long scheme of things, but admittedly, it is relatively fun and completely optional, so as a reward for beating actually the game once, it's actually fair enough. Also, these guys are helmet that reminds me of a Doom Marine.
I had him locked dead in my sights, and I swear the bastard moved after I pulled the trigger.
Sure. It's Neo from the Matrix.
You don't have any crates that need moving instead? Big attitude, Ryder. I like it. Go get him.
Okay. Yeah, let me talk also about this. We mentioned how Ryder acts incredibly kind of out of character when it comes to the Navi campaign, always being very jolly and talking even when the situation is super serious. It's kind of like the polar opposite here. His superior, aside from Falco, which is, always shitting on him, all the others are actually, treating him fairly with respect, but also, that was a one-hit kill from falling damage. What the hell? Aside from Falco, Ryder talks with the others just normally, with proper decorum and respect. There are some minor exceptions, like say with some of these commanders, where he's a bit more casual, but never to the point like he does with the Navi. And yet the others are treating him just fine. No real particular, stick in the mud, the kind of situations. So again, it feels like the characterization of Ryder is kind of being swapped, where he should be a bit more jovial with his comrades, aside from his superiors, and a bit more serious where the situation requires that with the Navi. But no, they kind of inverted that for some reason. It's odd. Again, the grenade launcher is basically your blessing. You have to be careful, however, because if you aim it too close to you, yeah, this happens. You blow yourself up.
Mistakes occurred.
Thankfully, we have the injections. But yeah, after dealing with the commanders, all we need to do is basically go back to Quarich, and like he promised, he will actually gives us the dragon for us to pilot, so we can actually get to the final area, like in the Navi campaign. There we go. Again, we're just again blowing our Navis towards while we're getting the last commander that we need to kill.
I wonder if in that new Avatar game, you could have it so like I don't know, I don't know, like say that's like a morality system where you could either be like evil Na'vi and kill all the humans, or be like evil humans and kill all the Na'vi, and some places in between.
Let me see if there is anything that Ubisoft said. Players take control of a Na'vi and embark on a journey across the western frontier, and never before seen region of Pandora, and must push back the forces of the RDA who seek to threaten it. It seems to be pretty much one-sided.
So basically, Avatar Forbidden West.
Kinda.
Basically.
Considering Ubisoft and everything, they probably are gonna do their traditional Far Cry open world with towers, revealing parts of the map and all that kind of jazz.
No, we have to be somewhat different, Paige. We'll call it Avatar Band East.
No, but that's the thing. He just said Western frontier, so we can take care of something bad that's threatening the world. Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah.
Apparently, interestingly enough,
Avatar Band Forbidden West. Yeah, that's how you get rid of it.
Interestingly enough, the game was first teased back in 2017, actually, because Massive Entertainment, the Swedish development team, so it's not actually done in-house by Ubisoft, although they did work with Ubisoft for a very long time, so it might as well be at this point. Massive Entertainment announced in 2017 that their next major title would have been based on James Cameron's Avatar. Remember, this was before we knew that the sequel had a proper release date. And in 2021, we had an investor call that mentioned that the game would tentatively release between 2022 and 2023. And, with the reveal of E3 2021, it was announced to be released in this year, which, considering what happened with stuff like Skull and Bones and Beyond Good and Evil, I kind of put my press X to doubt kind of image. But to be fair, in a recent interview, Ubisoft kind of mentions that they kind of have their hand tied, and a couple of titles, including Skull and Bones and the Avatar one, have to actually be released in the fiscal year before, March 2023, for legal reasons. So, worst case scenario, we're gonna be basically unfinished at launch.
So they're gonna be really. So there you go, Joe. You're gonna get Skull and Bones on specifically March 8th. They're gonna wait till the very last legal day they can put.
You ever have just something that you really wanted, but by the time it finally comes out, you just don't care anymore?
I know what it is, Jova. Because it's the same thing that happened with stuff like Duke Nukem Forever. It's a firecracker. At first when it gets told you that your friends do have one, it's kind of interesting. But when it takes forever, you get like a crowd amassing for it, and when it happens, they're just okay.
Like, look, let me put it like this. At this point in time, No Man's Sky has picked up its reputation from the pieces that it was in.
Yes, sir.
Sea of Thieves is now at a point where it is viable competition again. Like, how crazy is it? Like, it went from looking like it would be much better than Sea of Thieves to now, sorry, you gotta work. Like, Sea of Thieves has flipping Captain Jack Sparrow in it. And meanwhile, this Skull and Bones games, which should have been an easy slam dunk, given how it is literally taking gameplay that was already there, created and set to go, just expanded into its own single-player game. Like, look, all it needed to be was essentially just a beefed-up Assassin's Creed 4 without, the Assassin's Creed stuff attached to it. And yet, somehow, that game is taking them forever.
Yeah, that is my biggest question. Considering they had the road paved for them, what just happened for it? I really don't understand what happened.
Okay, Beyond Good and Evil 2, that's its own can of worms, but okay, maybe, especially with Michelle and So having left, they're having a really tough time figuring out what to do with that one. Okay, fine. Still dumb, but something of reason there. But with Skull and Bones, they had it. They literally had it. It looked like they had something functioning. I mean, unless the thing they were showing us was an interactive trailer of sorts that is really just working off of scripted gameplay.
Yeah.
But even if that was the case, it's based off of Assassin's Creed 4. Like... And look. If it was only the ship gameplay, which some people were worried it might be, even less reason for it to be taking so long. Seriously. Like, let me put it like this. This is like if you this is like if you had permission to copy someone else's homework, and it's all there and correct, it got an A+, and yet you still failed to do it. Like, I don't understand it. What are the creative problems that are holding back Skull and Bones? Like, look.
Do we even know if it's creative, considering Ubisoft's issues?
Yeah, potentially that too.
Creative problems could just be their code word for stuff hit the fan real bad. But all the same, even without all that stuff, this should have been an easy slam dunk. Hell, I'd argue, well, okay, maybe they shouldn't outsource it, but I'd argue this is one of the few times where I could see an outsourcing job even work, because again, the framework is there. It's just so baffling. And of course, the minute it was looking like Ubisoft were cleaning up their act and getting better, well, yeah, the last 2 years happened.
Yeah,
and to be fair to the revelation that occurred recently, it's not stuff that happened just recently. They've been going on for a very long time and only recently surfaced.
Yeah, like Ansel's convenient departure from video gaming.
Oh god, that just
what's even gonna happen to Wild at this point? The other
shoot.
game was working on.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
at this point, it's pretty much canceled. It's just not been officially confirmed as canceled because, well, I mean, what else?
I forget which company was even working on Wild.
Michel Ancel's own team. Let me see what the actual name is.
Since that team
is probably dead. So
yes, I mean,
to anyone who was
Wild
looking
Sheep
forward,
Studio.
Well, for anyone who was looking forward to Wild, I apologize.
Look at it from the perspective of either Ubisoft or Sony, right? These two projects, Beyond Good and Evil and Wild, are tied to Michel Ancel, meaning even if they do find somebody who can revive them and finish them, they're always going to be tied to Michel Ancel, which is basically unescapable negative publicity. So basically, these two games are PR nightmares. So I don't entirely blame the two companies for basically just cutting their losses.
Okay.
Yeah,
The last thing that we know is that Ansel himself mentioned in September 2020, while announcing his retirement from the video game industry, that development on Wild will continue still, but without him. But that's literally the last thing that he heard of.
What was the last thing you said about Beyond Good and Evil 2?
I don't know.
They're in capable hands.
I'll just say this.
This is why I stopped caring about that game.
Honestly, at this point, it doesn't even surprise me when we figured out that the main reason we never got a Beyond Good and Evil 2 until recently was apparently because of Ansel himself.
Jesus.
Alright, let me mention quickly. This is basically the exact same track that you need to perform, with the Navi campaign. Only this time again, with the one form. I'm mostly using the visibility power to actually move forward without being detected too much, and the grenade launcher does help too, but I'm still speeding up. For the record, in case you need to know, just to be in theme with the music that I used before, this is instead the Imperial Guard theme, still from Dark Crusade, particularly the Stronghold one. Go on, Pedro.
Joe, a potential, I know we've done it already back when it was, we were doing it live, but a potential redo of an E3 would be Ubisoft 2016, because that was it 2016 where they revealed Beyond Good and Evil 2? 2016,
no.
right?
It was 2017.
I think it was 2017. Yeah,
I remember
being very excited.
That was the E3 that we actually legit loved because it was Ubisoft's best E3 in years.
And that E3 basically ended up being a complete lie.
Okay, some of the games did come out from that. We got Mario plus Rabbids. That was good, and again, thank goodness. But yeah, Skull and Bones. Jesus Christ, Skull and Bones. I first found out about that game that year. Not a hide or hair of it. 5 years later. That is ridiculous for this kind of game. I'm sorry.
It's just like Microsoft's 2014 conference.
Was it the one with Scalebound?
Scalebound, Fable Legends, which also never came out.
Oh God, that's right. Was that one good?
Able Legend was cancelled with the closure also of Lionhead Studios as
If
well.
If I recall correctly, Microsoft E3 2014 was our first attempt at recording an E3.
Yeah.
And mind you, that was like, the first year our original channel even operated. So, yeah, of course, we had difficulties that stopped it from seeing the light of day. So honestly, that could be an E3 for us to redo eventually, if only because, it's the E3 that was originally supposed to be the start, but never came to be. And
do we actually know already if someone has already mentioned they're skipping this year's E3? If they have mentioned, but when we're recording this, it's still a bit way long before the event.
Aside from Sony, not really.
At this point, that's the thing. At this point, the E3 that we used to know is basically dead.
Which is probably for the better. Again, the digital format suits better these kind of announcements rather than the more elaborate theatrical conferences and everything. It had its kind of charm, particularly to be riffed upon, but also expensive. So I understand why people decide to just knock it off.
I'm gonna miss the on-stage live stuff because there was a. Hold on, go on.
Basically, just like in the Navi campaign, once we finish the endurance round, we do get reinforcements, and we actually are able to move on.
But because I kind of miss those because when you watch those, it really felt like it genuinely felt like an actual event that you were watching. Whereas now you're just like the digital presentation has been so normalized, and I don't know, it feels less big. It feels less momentous to me.
I can agree, and I will admit that, for the good or bad, those stage performances gave us a lot of unforgettable experiences. Let us not forget how Ubisoft would always come up with that insane song and dance number to announce Just Dance.
Sometimes, if I recall correctly, they still tried to do that last year.
That's another E3 that I would love to redo at some point. We never actually did it. Like one of the old classic E3s, Microsoft's 2012 run, where they had Usher perform for like 8 straight minutes.
Okay, how worse is that when the cast of Glee performing in the Konami conference?
Speaking of Microsoft and E3s, have you guys seen the bit of that documentary where they talk, where the people behind it talk about how disastrous the 2013 one was?
Wait. Oh yeah. There's actually been a documentary about that one.
Yeah, Xbox. It was a documentary on Xbox as a whole since it was their anniversary last year. But basically, there was a video.
Oh, was that the Stop Skeletons from Fighting one about the Xbox One?
No, it was from Microsoft themselves.
Really?
Microsoft did their own history of ourselves.
Basically, they were talking about. They even got Don Metric to explain his thinking behind it as well. Basically, they talked about what their plans were going into the reveal of the Xbox One as well as E3 that year, and how it ended up being the disasters that they were and what happened afterwards.
So, and they should get Phil Harrison, because remember, Phil Harrison was the big mastermind behind that.
Yeah. I think so. I definitely know they got Don.
So what you're saying is that Microsoft are now in the phase where they can freely admit that, that E3 was bad.
It's not like they had any choice. But no, see, the thing is, back in 2012, I actually saw that E3 of Microsoft in 2012 with a couple of friends. We were all just going like...
along when Usher showed up?
No, I don't even know anything about Usher.
Alright. This one... For this particular ending, things are gonna be a bit different from the standard one, believe it or not. If you remember, in the Navi ending, and to an extension also the human, but you decide to side with the Navi ending, you just arrive at the tree, and the cutscene takes out essentially Falco's own dragon, and you all live happily ever after, and all that hunky-dory stuff. In here, you actually do need to fight against Falco. Yes, the human route is the only one who actually has a final boss.
And Falco becomes empowered by the tree. What?
No, not really. You will just see that he's kind of a shitty boss fight, but at least very stomping. How? Teleport
How
behind
did
you,
he?
how?
I'm sorry. Are you sure he didn't get special teleporting powers from that?
I just love it, but the cutscene is so kind of janky. He just shows up right behind you, like
Oh,
it's the spy from
flashback.
Team Fortress 2.
Oh, no,
actually.
he just walks away so we can shoot him. Moron.
And as you can see, he's kind of a pushover.
He literally
He can
flips
dodge.
like a damn coin.
He can dodge, but as you can see, his health goes down way faster than he has any rise to. But again, at least we have a final boss. Huh?
Unlike the last one.
Bonk.
So now our plan is to take the emulator out, I guess.
Or at least to make it work as intended by the Doctor.
So what exactly was Falco trying to do with it now?
Try to activate it using himself as the catalyst. But remember, like the Doctor said, only someone like Ryder is actually the better conduit for it.
So literally Falco's plans could have gone without a hitch if he had just, let us do our jobs.
Falco was kind of an idiot, in case you forgot. And yes, it does kind of work out the way the Doc intended by severing the connection with the Navi. Hold on.
Tantalus is going like a baseball stadium. What the hell did you do?
I'm not sure.
Whatever you did, it worked. The Navi are making a quick retreat. I'm getting reports they lost control of their Banshees. That makes sense to you?
Yeah, it does actually.
Congrats, Ryder. You're gonna be a hero for this. Now get your butt down here, and that dragon better be spotless.
Sure.
Ryder.
And so the Navi, well...
Before that, we get,
No, you did the right thing.
there you
It
go.
was all worth it. This better bring peace.
You've stopped a catastrophe, but this isn't over. We can't keep control of Awa for long, nor should we. And we've got more ships.
Basically, this is their kind of cop-out to make things make more sense for the movie and say, eventually the Navi will regain control naturally of their own, but this will give the human a bit more advantage
Next time.
in the meantime.
Yeah.
Which kind of does set up, ideally, the movie where the Navis are much more oppressed and the humans are more in control. So, logically, this is the more canonical of the endings.
And
So they got Sigourney Weaver just for that.
Yeah, for a line at the beginning and a line at the end. It's kind of like Jeff
Wow.
Goldblum in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. So,
That was
we do have
certainly a
one more
video
part
game.
after this about the data log, yes. But for intents and purposes, final thoughts. Dweebs.
It's just like the film and the rest of the series itself. It comes, it boggles my mind half the time, but it just goes and I forget about it in a day. And
Forget about it.
And yet somehow it still makes billions of dollars because must have left an impression on somebody. Other than James Cameron, that is. I mean, everything about it is just bland. Everything's fine, but there's not really much you can say about it. I mean, it's like everything this game has done has been done before and done better. Like, I don't really see much of a reason to go back to this now, although I do have some optimism that the developers of the new Avatar game, let me get the name up real quick.
Massive Entertainment.
Yeah, Massive Entertainment.
They do have an experience with stuff like
afterwards.
they have an experience in doing some shooters. Assassin's Creed Revelations, Far Cry 3, One Just Dance, and The Division. They also have apparently a Star Wars game in the work in the meantime as well. So who knows?
Yeah, plus it'll be interesting to see how the Swedish handle a game like this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen a lot of games of a more open area done well from plenty of other countries, like say the Danish with Hitman. So this should be much different. So there we are. There's Avatar the game. It's a game. There you go.
Pedro.
It looks like a very generic licensed game. It does basically the bare minimum to be a competent game, but that's about it, really. The plot is unmemorable. The characters are even less so, and the gameplay looks fine for what it is. It's just like, but at the same time, you know, like it's very derivative and doesn't seem like there's anything here that other games don't do better. So, but hey, at the very least, it's okay, from what I can tell. Not much to say, really. Like, the game doesn't really have that much in terms of memorability. It's just kind of there for me.
Java.
It's a fine game. I wouldn't call it the bare minimum. Like, it's actually a pretty good and decent movie tie-in game. That being said, it is by no means amazing. Like, don't get me wrong. The amount of choice that you can get in a lot of areas is actually pretty neat and unique. On the other hand, there are a lot of points where the game does fall kind of short, and you can definitely feel how dated it is in some regards here and there. Ironically, the human playthrough does feel probably the more closer to main canon, so there's that. The Avatar gameplay playthrough is not bad either, but yeah, it's weird how our character suddenly acts all hip and cool with the other Na'vi and all that.
And it's completely worthless because the Na'vi don't understand the references, you know. And their general attitude ranges from just being okay with your presence to actively being despising you, like with Beidamo. So
I wonder if that was their way of trying to show what Ryder is like when he's not under command, like in his casual time. But
like I hinted, Jova, next part with the data log, among the things that we will learn also the backstory of our protagonist. Trust me, he's not really that pleasant of a person.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah.
I guess that's just the best way to put this game. It's nice. It's not something I go out of my way to play, but no, if I had like limited options, it's not a bad one to pick from.
Alright, that leaves me. As I mentioned across the game multiple times, this is okay. And for the standards of licensed games, particularly around this time, it's actually interesting the fact that Ubisoft went above and beyond to try to pack it with content, you know, both for single player and for the multiplayer. But it's still very rough. And this being sold at $60 at launch still was not worth it.
Yeah, no.
That's the important thing that needs to be reminded with all of these, particular licensed video games. I'm sorry that it sounds like we're beating a dead horse, but for this in particular is more important.
Like, there's a reason that nowadays you see a lot of games not priced at $60 because people nowadays recognize
the launch,
how
the licensed titles.
Yeah, because people realize how ridiculous full price can be for these sort of games. And even if they're good, unless they have enough content to warrant it, $60 is a waste.
This is why stuff like Terminator Resistance actually are worth it, because despite being very modest, they offer enough fun factor and they actually are sold for like $30-$40 with enough content to justify that kind of price still. So, and definitely it's licensed games are in a better state than they were in the end of 2000, beginning 2001. Mm-hmm. Anyway, as mentioned, the human campaign is actually the better one of the two. Nothing too particularly wrong against the Navi campaign, but it's kind of obnoxious, and you can clearly feel you're kind of in disadvantage. It is kind of a shame because the game is actively pinning the advantage over the racist assholes who just want their magic metal, and are killing people, the Navis and their creatures left and right, like the assholes that they are. The writing is all over the place. The characters are technically in character, but some of those lines are just very stupid, particularly Batista. The voice acting is what saves it. I actually haven't checked if the game has a Italian dub. It might be, because games around this time, particularly Ubisoft, did add Italian dubs. It might still be too cheesy, so I'm probably not super willing to check out. But for the purpose of the English one, it's fine. Surprised we didn't use David Gassman, considering everything. It's also nice that they had all the actors from the movies reprising their role, whatever big or small their roles was supposed to be. Again, it gives that sense of, strict consistency that licensed games like this kind of need. So there is that. The music is a bit all over the place too. Sometimes it tries too hard, other times it's fitting enough. So there is that. It's at the end of the day, it's still a bit of a mess, but far better than stuff like, say, Battleship, or Terminator Salvation, the video game. But still not enough to be put on the same par with games that were released kind of around the same time, unfortunately. But yeah, the game is technically not over, so tune in for the next part, which will be the last, where I read not all of it, but some particular tidbits from the data log to answer all those questions that you wanted desperately clearly to know about the Pandora's Mythos and never dared to ask. See ya.
See ya.